The stars gleamed through the massive windows of orbital station Harmony. The station floated in perfect silence above Viridian, a garden world known throughout the galaxy for its beauty. Inside the main conference hall, representatives from dozens of species gathered for what many hoped would be a historic moment. Park Ji-woo stood at the center podium, his gray hair catching the soft light. He had spent 30 years building bridges between Earth and the older galactic civilizations. His face showed the weight of those years, but his eyes still sparkled with hope. Around him, delegates whispered in 100 different languages, their translation devices creating a soft hum in the air. "Today we write a new chapter," Park Ji-woo said, his voice steady and warm. "Not with weapons or threats, but with understanding." In the security observation room above, Kim Seo-yeon watched every movement in the hall below. Her hand rested near her weapon, though she hoped she would never need it. She had protected Park Ji-woo for 15 years. In that time, she had learned that his greatest weapon was not military might, but his ability to make even the most hostile species listen. The Corthian delegation sat in the front row. They were massive beings, their scaled skin reflecting the station lights in patterns of deep purple and black. Ambassador Vrexkal led them, his body language radiating contempt. The Corthians controlled 70 star systems. Their empire had crushed a dozen smaller species over the past century. They viewed humans as newcomers, barely worth noticing. Park Ji-woo had worked for 5 years to arrange this meeting. The Corthians had been expanding toward human space. Small conflicts had erupted at the borders. Ships had been lost. Colonies had been threatened. Park believed that dialogue could prevent a war that would cost millions of lives. "The Corthian Empire has strength," Park continued, gesturing toward Vrexkal. "This is undeniable. But strength alone does not build civilizations that endure. Cooperation, mutual respect, shared prosperity. These are the foundations of true power." Vrexkal's translator device conveyed his response with clear mockery. "The human speaks of strength as if he understands it. Your species has spread to 40 worlds in 50 years, yet you avoid every conflict. You negotiate when you should fight. You offer treaties when you should take. This is not strength. This is fear." Park Ji-woo smiled gently. "Perhaps what you see as fear is simply wisdom. War should always be the last choice, not the first." Kim Seo-yeon tensed in the observation room. She had heard the intelligence reports. The Corthians were not negotiating in good faith. They were stalling while they positioned their fleets. But Park Ji-woo believed he could reach them, could make them see reason. Admiral Lee Sung-min commanded the small human fleet stationed 2 light hours away. She sat in her command chair aboard the battleship, indomitable, monitoring the feeds from the station. Her crew was on full alert, though they appeared relaxed. That was how humans operated now. They looked peaceful, diplomatic, and unthreatening. They had become very good at looking that way. Lee Sung-min remembered the early days of human expansion into space. 50 years ago, when humans first developed faster than light travel, they had burst into the galaxy expecting adventure and discovery. Instead, they found a brutal hierarchy where older species dominated younger ones. Humans learned quickly that showing their full military capabilities would mark them as threats. So Park Ji-woo had convinced Earth's governments to take a different path. Build colonies quietly. Develop technology in secret. Show the galaxy a peaceful face while preparing for the day that peace might fail. It was Park Ji-woo's vision, and for 3 decades, it had worked. Humans expanded. They traded. They learned. And they were vastly underestimated. Back in the conference hall, the speeches continued. Representatives from neutral species praised both sides for coming to the table. The mood seemed hopeful. Kim Seo-yeon allowed herself to relax slightly. Perhaps this would work after all. The closing ceremony began as the local sun set beyond Viridian's horizon. The station's interior lights dimmed to match the natural cycle. Park Ji-woo stood to deliver his final remarks. Vrexkal stood as well, positioned to Park's right, as protocol demanded. "Let this day be remembered," Park Ji-woo said, "as the moment when two great peoples chose understanding over conflict." Vrexkal moved closer, as if to clasp Park's hand in the traditional gesture of agreement. Kim Seo-yeon felt something shift in her gut. Years of training screamed at her. She was already moving, already shouting into her communicator, already reaching for her weapon. The device hidden in Vrexkal's ceremonial armor activated. It was a simple thing, barely larger than a coin, but it released a focused pulse of energy designed to disrupt neural activity. At point-blank range, it was lethal to most organic beings. Park Ji-woo's body seized. His eyes went wide, not with fear, but with profound sadness. He collapsed. Kim Seo-yeon threw herself forward, trying to shield Park even though she was too late. The security team stormed the hall. Vrexkal made no attempt to flee. He stood over Park Ji-woo's body with something that might have been a smile on his alien features. "An unfortunate accident," Vrexkal said calmly. "A malfunction in my medical implant. How tragic." But his eyes told the truth. This was deliberate. This was murder. And the Korthian delegation showed no real surprise. Medical teams rushed to Park Ji-woo. They worked frantically. But Kim Seo-yeon could see it was useless. She had seen death enough times to recognize it. The man who had spent his life building peace lay dead on the floor of a station named Harmony. The Korthian delegation departed immediately, claiming diplomatic immunity. The neutral species representatives looked horrified, but did nothing. The galaxy's laws protected ambassadors, even murderers. 2 light hours away, Admiral Lee Sung-min received the report. She sat very still for a long moment. Her bridge crew watched her face change. Something cold settled into her expression, something that had been held back for 30 years. "Send a message to Fleet Command," she said quietly. "Tell them Park Ji-woo is dead. Tell them the Korthians killed him. Tell them we are no longer bound by his restraints." She looked at the tactical display showing the Korthian Empire's borders. "And prepare the fleet for combat operations. It is time they learned what we have been hiding." In the conference hall, Kim Seo-yeon held Park Ji-woo's hand as his life faded. She whispered to him, though she knew he could not hear. "I am sorry, sir. We will handle this now. Our way." The age of human restraint had ended. What came next would teach the galaxy a lesson they would never forget. The entire planet Earth seemed to hold its breath. Every screen, every device, every public space displayed the same image. Park Ji-woo's official portrait, surrounded by the dates of his birth and death. Billions of humans stopped what they were doing to watch the memorial services, from the gleaming towers of New Sol to the underground cities of Mars, from the orbital habitats around Jupiter to the frontier colonies at the edge of human space. People mourned. General Choi Min-jun stood in the command center beneath Geneva, watching the crowds gather outside. He was a hard man, made harder by 40 years of military service. He had known Park Ji-woo well. They had been friends once, before their paths diverged. Park chose diplomacy. Choi chose to prepare for war. "How many have responded to the mobilization order?" Choi asked. His aide checked the incoming reports. "All of them, sir. Every reserve unit, every mothballed ship, every officer on inactive duty. They are all coming back." "Every 9, Choi nodded slowly. He had expected nothing less. Park Ji-woo had been beloved. More than that, he had been a symbol of everything humans wanted to believe about themselves, that they could be better than the violent galaxy around them, that they could rise through merit and cooperation rather than conquest. The Korthians had killed that dream along with the man who embodied it. President Amara Okonkwo entered the command center. She was a tall woman with silver hair and eyes that had seen too much compromise. She had been elected on a platform of continuing Park's peaceful policies. Now she would have to authorize something very different. Give me the full picture, she said to Choi. No political softening. I need the truth. Choi pulled up a holographic display. It showed the human sphere of influence, the Korthian Empire, and the various neutral species between them. For 30 years, we followed Park Ji-woo's strategy. Expand peacefully, avoid conflicts, show the galaxy that humans are cooperative and unthreatening. This was not cowardice. It was strategy. He changed the display to show classified military installations. While we appeared weak, we were building research stations developing weapons technology decades beyond what other species possess, shipyards hidden in asteroid belts and around dead stars, training facilities producing soldiers with capabilities the galaxy has never seen, AI systems that make our ships faster and smarter than anything else in space. President Okonkwo studied the display. Park knew about all of this? He authorized most of it, Choi said. He understood that peace only works when backed by the ability to defend yourself. But he also understood that if we showed our full strength too early, other species would unite against us out of fear. He was buying time for us to become too established to threaten, too integrated to attack. And now? Now, they have killed him. They have shown the galaxy that diplomacy with humans means nothing, that our restraint is weakness. Choi's face hardened. If we do nothing, we invite more attacks. Every species will think they can take what they want from us. President Okonkwo was silent for a long moment. What are you proposing? Protocol revelation. We show them what we really are. We make the Korthians an example. We demonstrate that human patience is not the same as human weakness. In the deep research facilities beneath the surface of Europa, Dr. Elena Volkov received the authorization codes she had been waiting 3 decades to see. She stood in front of a massive sealed door marked with warnings in 15 languages. Behind that door were projects that had been theoretical, experimental, or simply too dangerous to deploy. Open Project Wrath, she said to her team. The systems came online. Weapons that bent space itself. Missile systems, with AI guidance so sophisticated, they could predict enemy movements before they happened. Defensive shields that existed partially out of phase with normal reality. And more, so much more that even Volkov's team had barely tested. Begin production protocols, she ordered. The military wants everything ready in 72 hours. Everything? One of her scientists asked, his face pale. Doctor, some of these systems have never been field tested. Then they will be tested in combat, Volkov said coldly. We are past the time for caution. Captain Kang Dae-hyun assembled his special operations team in a briefing room aboard the stealth ship Shadow Walker. These were humans trained in ways that would shock the civilian population. Genetic enhancements that pushed their bodies beyond normal human limits. Neural implants that connected them directly to AI systems. Training that included actual combat against captured Korthian war machines. Our target is the Korthian supply hub at Nexus Station, Kang explained, highlighting a massive space station on the tactical display. This facility coordinates logistics for 17 Korthian battle fleets. If we take it out, we cripple their ability to sustain military operations across a quarter of their empire. Mana 5. One of his team members spoke up. Sir, that station is defended by 3 full battalions of Korthian shock troops. Intelligence says it is impossible to infiltrate. Kang smiled, but there was no humor in it. They think it is impossible because they do not know what we can do. They have never faced human special operations. They are about to learn. Back in the Geneva Command Center, President Okonkwo signed the authorization codes. Do it, she said to General Choi. But I want rules of engagement that are clear. We are not the Korthians. We do not target civilians. We do not commit atrocities. We will show them our strength, but we will also show them our honor. End quote. We not committed eventing. Committed eventing. Committed eventing. Choi nodded. Understood, Madam President. We will be ruthless. But we will be just. The orders went out across human space. Fleets began moving from their hidden bases. Weapons that had been kept secret were loaded onto ships. Soldiers who had been training in isolation for years finally received their deployment orders. Admiral Lee Sung-min addressed her fleet as they prepared to jump to the Korthian border. For 30 years, we have been the galaxy's nice neighbors. We smiled. We negotiated. We compromised. This was not weakness. This was us being civilized, being patient, being better than the violence around us. She paused, her face visible on every screen in every ship. They killed Park Ji-woo because they thought we were weak. They thought our kindness was cowardice. They were wrong. Today we remind them that humans did not become the dominant species on Earth by being prey. We became apex predators. And we have been hiding our teeth. Temden. The fleet jumped to hyperspace, vanishing from their stations in flashes of twisted light. They were heading toward Korthian space. They were bringing a message the galaxy would not forget. In his chambers on the Korthian throne world, Ambassador Vrexkal received reports of human fleet movements. He dismissed them with contempt. "Let them posture," he said to his aides. "They have 40 worlds to our 70. They have always avoided combat. This will be no different. They will make threats. We will ignore them, and eventually they will accept our dominance." His military advisors were not so confident. "Lord Ambassador, the intelligence suggests these are not normal deployments. The humans are moving forces we did not know they had." "Impossible," Vrexkal said. "We have monitored their military for decades. We know their capabilities. They are merchants and diplomats, not warriors." But deep in the Korthian intelligence networks, analysts were beginning to realize something terrifying. The human ships they were detecting did not match any known human designs. The energy signatures were wrong. The formation patterns were sophisticated beyond anything humans had shown before. The Korthians had made their assessment of human military capability based on what humans had allowed them to see. They were about to learn that humanity's greatest trick was not strength or technology. It was patience. The patience to be underestimated. The patience to be insulted. The patience to appear weak while becoming strong. That patience had ended the moment Park Ji-woo fell. The Korthian border system of Talvex had never seen human warships before. The 3 defense platforms that guarded the system had been built to intimidate smaller species. Each platform could generate enough firepower to crack a moon. Together, they made the system nearly impregnable, or so the Korthians believed. War Master Thargon commanded the Korthian defense fleet from his flagship, the Endless Conquest. He had 50 warships under his command, each one a proven destroyer of lesser species. When the sensor alerts announced incoming human vessels, he actually laughed. "How many?" he asked his sensor operator. 15 ships, War Master. Destroyer class by their energy signatures." Thargon's laughter grew louder. "They send 15 ships against our 50? Against our defense platforms? The humans are even more foolish than I believed. All ships. Attack formation. Let us educate them quickly." Admiral Lee Sung-min stood on the bridge of the Indomitable, watching the Korthian fleet move into attack position. Her 15 ships looked small against the Korthian force. That was intentional. Let them think they had the advantage. Let them commit fully to the attack. "Weapons status?" she asked calmly. "Quantum disruptors, charged and ready." Her weapons officer reported. "Dimensional shields online. AI combat systems synchronized across the fleet. Enemy fleet is opening fire," the tactical officer announced. The Korthian attack was impressive. Hundreds of missiles and energy beams crossed the space between the fleets. It was enough firepower to vaporize a small moon. The Korthians expected to see human ships torn apart. Instead, reality itself seemed to bend around the human vessels. The dimensional shields existed partially out of phase with normal space. Korthian weapons passed through where the human ships appeared to be, hitting nothing but empty space. The few shots that did connect splashed harmlessly against energy barriers that should not have been possible. "Return fire," Lee Sung-min ordered. The quantum disruptors activated. They did not fire energy beams or missiles. Instead, they projected fields that destabilized matter at the quantum level. A Korthian battleship, touched by the disruptor field, simply came apart, its molecular bonds failing catastrophically. In 3 seconds, a ship that had taken years to build became an expanding cloud of atoms. Thargon stared at his displays in disbelief. What was that? What kind of weapon? Before his crew could answer, 5 more of his ships died. The human vessels moved with impossible precision, their AI systems predicting Korthian movements before they happened. Every human shot found its target. Every Korthian shot missed. "Defense platforms, engage," Thargon roared. The 3 massive platforms opened fire. Their weapons were older, but far more powerful than anything the ships carried. Beams of energy thick as buildings lanced through space. Surely nothing could survive that. The human ships scattered, their movements synchronized perfectly. 2 of them turned toward the nearest platform and fired something new. Missiles, but unlike any missiles the Korthians had seen. These missiles thought for themselves, their AI cores more sophisticated than most organic minds. They dodged point defense fire with ease, weaving through space like living things. When they struck the defense platform, they did not explode. Instead, they burrowed into the structure, their nanite payloads eating through armor and systems. Within minutes, the platform's power core destabilized. The explosion lit up the system like a new sun. Commander Yoon Jae-sung led his fighter wing into the chaos. The human fighters were small, fast, and deadly. Each pilot was directly connected to their ship's systems through neural links. They did not react to threats. They anticipated them. The AI systems in their fighters predicted enemy movements hundreds of times per second, giving the pilots information faster than conscious thought. A squadron of Korthian interceptors moved to engage them. The Korthians had numbers and firepower. But Yoon's pilots had something better. They had perfect coordination. They moved as one organism, their AI systems linked together. When the Korthians tried to target them, they were not fighting individual pilots. They were fighting a distributed intelligence that existed across dozens of ships. The Korthian squadron died in less than a minute. Yoon's wing lost nothing. "This is impossible," Thargon shouted. "How can they move like that? How can their weapons be so powerful?" His second-in-command looked at the tactical display with growing horror. "War Master, we have lost 30 ships. The platforms are gone. We cannot win this battle. Retreat is not the Korthian way," Thargon growled. But even as he said it, he knew the truth. This was not a battle. It was a slaughter. Admiral Lee Sung-min opened a communication channel to the remaining Korthian ships. Her face appeared on their screens, cold and merciless. "I am Admiral Lee Sung-min of the United Earth Fleet. You are wondering how this is possible. You are wondering how we hid this strength. Let me explain something to you. F. She gestured at the debris field that had been the Korthian defense fleet. "For 30 years, Park Ji-woo convinced Earth to show you only what we wanted you to see. We acted peaceful because we chose peace, not because we were incapable of war. We negotiated because we preferred cooperation, not because we feared conflict. We restrained ourselves because a good man believed in a better way." Her expression became ice. "You killed that good man. You murdered him because you thought our restraint was weakness. Now, you will learn the truth. What you saw of humanity before was us being civilized. What you see now is us being human. And humans survived on a death world by being the most dangerous thing on it." In the debris field, something else was happening. Small shapes moved between the wrecks. Too fast for Korthian sensors to track clearly. Captain Kang Dae-hyun and his special operations team were already at work. They had inserted during the confusion of battle, using the debris as cover. Their target was a command ship that had survived, crippled but intact. Kang's team moved through vacuum with practiced ease, their powered armor making them far more than human. They cut through the hull and entered the Korthian ship. The Korthian crew had no idea what hit them. The humans moved too fast, their augmented reflexes making them seem to teleport from place to place. Stun weapons took down defenders before they could react. Within minutes, Kang's team had secured the ship's data core. Package acquired, Kang reported. Extracting now. They were gone before the Korthians even realized they had been boarded. The data they took contained tactical information, fleet positions, and defense protocols. In one operation, they had compromised Korthian military security across multiple systems. Back in the Tal Vex system, the battle was over. The Korthian fleet was destroyed. The defense platforms were gone. Admiral Lee Sung-min allowed the surviving ships to flee. She wanted them to carry the message. Broadcast this across all frequencies, she ordered. Make sure every Korthian hears it. Make sure the entire galaxy hears it. Her message was simple and terrifying. The Korthian Empire killed our leader during peace negotiations. This was your first lesson in the price of that action. We have taken Tal Vex system. We are not leaving. We are coming for the next system, and the next, and the next. You wanted to see human strength. Now you cannot look away. Across Korthian space, fleet commanders received the reports with disbelief. One human fleet had destroyed a major border defense in hours. The humans had not lost a single ship. The technology they displayed was beyond anything the Korthians possessed. In the capital, Empress Korthva called an emergency war council. How is this possible? She demanded. Our intelligence said the humans were weak. Her military advisors had no good answers. They deceived us, Majesty. They hid their true capabilities. We made our assessments based on incomplete information. Then get me complete information, the Empress roared. Find out what they have, how many ships, what their real capabilities are, and find out how to stop them. But even as she gave the orders, she felt something she had not felt in decades. Fear. The humans had announced their intentions clearly. They were not stopping at Tal Vex. They were coming for the entire border. And based on what they had just demonstrated, they might actually succeed. In human space, celebrations erupted. The footage from Tal Vex spread across every colony. Humans watched their fleet destroy the Korthians with overwhelming superiority. After decades of being dismissed and underestimated, humanity had shown its teeth. But General Choi Min-jun did not celebrate. He studied the casualty reports. 0 human losses. Perfect execution. Then he looked at the projections for the next phase of the campaign. The Korthians would adapt. They would gather more ships. They would fight harder. The real war was just beginning. But humanity had sent its message. The age of human restraint was over. The galaxy would learn to respect them. One way or another. The Galactic Council chamber had never been so full. Representatives from every major species crowded into the ancient space station that served as neutral ground for galactic politics. The emergency session had been called after humans took their third Korthian system in as many weeks. The mood was tense, fearful, and confused. Counselor Zelnara of the Vryn Collective called the session to order. Her species had been neutral peacekeepers for centuries, never taking sides in galactic conflicts. Now she faced something that terrified her. A species that had appeared peaceful was revealing itself to be the most militarily powerful force in the galaxy. We are here to address the human military campaign against the Korthian Empire, Zelnara announced. The Council must decide if this action violates galactic law and what measures should be taken. The Korthian representative, a lesser diplomat named Vorks, stood immediately. The humans are engaging in unprovoked aggression. They have destroyed our fleets and occupied our territory. This is an act of war that the Council must condemn. Before anyone could respond, the chamber doors opened. Ambassador Park Min-seo entered, flanked by 2 human security officers. She was younger than her father had been, but she carried herself with the same calm dignity. The resemblance was striking enough that several representatives shifted uncomfortably. "The Council recognizes Ambassador Park Min-seo of Earth," Zelnara said carefully. "You may address the Assembly." Zelnara. Min-seo walked to the speaker's podium with measured steps. She placed a data chip on the console, and holographic displays activated throughout the chamber. The recording showed Park Ji-woo's assassination in brutal clarity. Several representatives gasped. Many had heard rumors, but seeing it was different. "My father spent 30 years of his life building peace," Min-seo said, her voice steady despite the emotion behind it. "He believed that species could coexist through cooperation and mutual respect. He convinced Earth to restrain its military power in favor of diplomatic solutions. He taught us to be patient, to be understanding, to be better than the violence that surrounds us." She looked directly at the Korthian representative. The Korthian Empire repaid his dedication by murdering him during a peace conference. They assassinated a diplomatic envoy under the protection of neutral territory, and then they claimed it was an accident. Vorks started to object, but Min-seo continued, her voice growing harder. "Galactic law is clear. The assassination of a diplomatic envoy is one of the few crimes that justifies military response. My father showed restraint. They killed him for it. Now you ask us to show restraint again? To accept his murder and continue as if nothing happened?" The chamber erupted in debate. Some species agreed that the Korthians had violated sacred diplomatic principles. Others feared what human military power meant for the galactic balance. Everyone was afraid of what would happen next. In Korthian space, the situation was becoming desperate. Admiral Lee Sung-min's fleets had taken 5 systems. Human special operations teams were sabotaging supply lines deep behind Korthian borders. Captain Kang Dae-hyun had become a legend of terror, his teams striking targets the Korthians thought were secure. Empress Korthva sat in her throne room, reviewing battle reports that grew worse each day. Her generals stood before her, none meeting her eyes. "How many ships have we lost?" she asked. 247 capital ships, Majesty," the War Master reported, "plus countless smaller vessels. The humans have lost 12 ships total, and most of those were from accidents, not combat." "This is impossible," the Empress said. "How can they be so superior? We have studied warfare for centuries. We have conquered dozens of species." Her chief scientist stepped forward. "Majesty, we have analyzed captured human technology. What they possess is beyond our understanding. Their AI systems are more advanced than any organic mind. Their weapons manipulate reality at the quantum level. Their shields exist partially outside normal space. This is technology that should not be possible. Then how did they develop it? They have been working on it for decades, hiding their research from galactic observation. While they appeared to focus on trade and diplomacy, they were actually engaged in the most intensive military research program in galactic history. They gambled that no one would attack them before they were ready. We made that gamble lose. In the occupied Korthian systems, something surprising was happening. The human military administration was harsh but fair. They had strict rules of engagement. Korthian civilians were protected, food supplies were maintained, essential services continued. War criminals were arrested and faced trial. But ordinary Korthians were left alone. A Korthian shopkeeper in the occupied city of Talven spoke carefully to a human patrol. "I do not understand. Your people destroyed our fleet. You killed our soldiers. But you do not harm us?" The human sergeant, a man named Chen Wei, shrugged. "You did not kill our chancellor. Your military did. Your government did. Why would we punish you for their crime? But this is war. In war, the strong take what they want. Maybe that is how the Korthians fight war," Chen said. "Humans have different rules. We are here to teach your leaders a lesson, not to terrorize civilians. We are not monsters. We are just very, very good at war." Back at the Galactic Council, the debate had raged for hours. Finally, Councillor Zelnara called for order. The Council must make a decision. Do we condemn the human military campaign, or do we acknowledge the legitimacy of their response to diplomatic assassination? Several representatives wanted to condemn the humans, fearing their power. But others pointed out the obvious problem. If we condemn Earth for responding to the murder of their diplomatic envoy, we destroy the foundation of galactic diplomacy. Every ambassador becomes a target. Every negotiation becomes meaningless. A representative from the Kelnar Union spoke up. Perhaps we should be asking a different question. The humans are winning this war easily. They could destroy the Korthian Empire completely. Why have they not done so? It was a good question. Human fleets had the power to sterilize Korthian worlds. They could have turned the war into genocide. But they had not. They fought with precision, targeting military assets and leaving civilians untouched. Ambassador Park Min-seo addressed this directly. Earth seeks justice, not revenge. We want those responsible for my father's murder to face trial. We want the Korthian military rendered incapable of threatening others. We want peace, but peace built on strength and mutual respect, not on one side's weakness. And if the Korthians surrender? Zelnara asked. What are Earth's terms? Do. Complete military surrender. War Crimes Tribunal for those responsible for the assassination. Restructuring of the Korthian government under temporary human oversight to ensure compliance with galactic law. Reparations for damages. And permanent monitoring to prevent future aggression. The terms were harsh but not genocidal. Several representatives breathed easier. The humans wanted victory, not extermination. In the Korthian capital, Empress Korthva received the human terms. Her advisors urged her to reject them, to fight to the last. But she was not stupid. She had seen the battle reports. She had watched human fleets dismantle her military with contemptuous ease. How long can we hold? She asked her generals. If we gather every ship, if we fight with everything we have, we might delay them for another month, maybe 2. But we cannot win. Their technology is too advanced. Their tactics are too perfect. And they have barely shown us their full capabilities. The Empress closed her eyes. Her empire had stood for 3 centuries. It had crushed everyone who opposed it. Now it faced an enemy that made all that power meaningless. What happens if we do not surrender? They will take every system we have. They will dismantle our military piece by piece. And eventually, when they tire of our resistance, they may decide that extermination is simpler than occupation. They have shown restraint so far. There is no guarantee they will continue to do so. Far from the political discussions, Captain Kang Dae-hyun crouched in the shadows of a Korthian military command center. His team had infiltrated the facility to gather intelligence on the remaining Korthian fleet positions. They moved through the complex like ghosts, their advanced stealth systems making them invisible to Korthian sensors. Data acquired, Kang whispered into his comm. Extracting now. But as they moved to leave, alarms suddenly blared. The Korthians had upgraded their security systems. Kang's team was detected. Contact! One of his soldiers shouted as Korthian security forces poured into the corridor. The fight was brief and brutal. Human weapons cut through Korthian armor like paper. Human reflexes, enhanced by neural implants and genetic modification, made them seem superhuman. But there were dozens of Korthians and only 6 humans. Kang took a hit that cracked his armor, but his team kept fighting. They made it to their extraction point and escaped. But barely. Back on their ship, Kang reviewed the data they had stolen. It showed the Korthian military gathering for one last desperate stand. They were pulling ships from every corner of their empire. It would be the largest fleet ever assembled. And it would still not be enough. Kang thought about Park Ji-woo, a man he had never met but whose vision had shaped his entire career. Park had believed in peace. Kang had spent his life preparing for war. Now, those 2 paths had collided. "Do you think we will stop after the Korthians?" one of his team members asked. "We have all this power, all this strength. What happens when there are no more threats to fight?" Kang did not have an answer. That was a question for politicians and philosophers. He was just a soldier, doing what soldiers do, teaching enemies why they should not have started the fight. The battle for Korth Prime, the Korthian homeworld, lasted 6 hours. It should have lasted weeks. The Korthians had assembled the largest fleet in their history, pulling ships from every corner of their empire. 3,000 warships, countless defense platforms, and planetary shield generators that could withstand sustained bombardment. Admiral Lee Sung-min arrived with 400 human ships. The Korthians still had numbers. They did not have hope. The battle opened with a Korthian barrage that would have vaporized any other fleet. Human dimensional shields danced between realities, making most shots harmless. The ones that connected were absorbed by energy barriers that glowed but did not break. Then, the humans returned fire. Quantum disruptors tore through Korthian formations like invisible claws. AI-guided missiles thought faster than organic minds could react. Human fighters moved with machine precision, their pilots connected directly to their ships. It was not a battle. It was an execution. Empress Korthva watched from her palace as her final defense crumbled. 3,000 ships reduced to wreckage in hours. The planetary shields flickered and died under human assault. But then, something unexpected happened. The human ships stopped firing. Admiral Lee Sung-min broadcast on all frequencies. "Korthian Military Command. This is your final chance. Surrender now and face trial under galactic law. Continue fighting and we will be forced to escalate. You have 1 hour to decide." In the palace, the Empress's generals argued for continued resistance. "We can fight from the ground. We can make them pay for every city." But the Empress understood what the humans were really saying. They had held back. Everything they had shown so far was restrained. They could destroy the planet if they wanted to. They were giving the Korthians one last chance to surrender with dignity. "Enough," she said quietly. "Send the surrender signal. This war is over." The surrender was broadcast across the Empire. Within hours, Korthian fleets across the galaxy began standing down. Some refused and were destroyed. Most accepted the inevitable. In 6 weeks, the mighty Korthian Empire had been broken. 3 days later, Empress Korthva stood in chains before a tribunal. The courtroom was on a neutral station, overseen by representatives from a dozen species. Human, Korthian, and neutral judges sat in judgment. The gallery was packed with observers from across the galaxy. Ambassador Park Min-seo sat in the front row, watching the proceedings with careful attention. This was her father's dream, in a twisted form. Justice through law. Not through might. But it had taken overwhelming force to get here. The trial was methodical and fair. Evidence was presented. Witnesses testified. Vrex Kal, the assassin, admitted his role. He showed no remorse. "I did what was necessary for the Empire," he said. "The humans were weak. They needed to be shown their place." "And what place is that?" the chief judge asked. "Beneath us. Beneath all the elder species. They are newcomers, barely worthy of notice." The judge was a Vryn, the same species as Counselor Zelnara. She spoke carefully. "And now? What do you think of humans now?" Vrexkal said nothing. What could he say? The truth was obvious to everyone. The humans had destroyed everything the Korthians built in weeks. They had proven themselves the most dangerous military force in the galaxy. The verdict came after 3 days of testimony. Vrexkal and 17 other Korthian officials were found guilty of diplomatic assassination and crimes against galactic peace. The sentences were harsh. Life imprisonment in a human-run facility. The galaxy watched and learned. Diplomatic immunity had limits. In the occupied Korthian territories, reconstruction was already beginning. General Choi Min-jun had established military governments in each captured system, but they operated under strict guidelines. Korthian civilians received food, medical care, and protection. Schools reopened. Trade resumed. The humans ruled with discipline, but not cruelty. A Korthian teacher named Kelvor spoke to his students about the occupation. They defeated us in battle. They could have destroyed us completely. Instead, they treat us fairly. They punish only those who committed crimes. This is not the behavior of monsters. This is something else. What, teacher? One of his students asked. Discipline. Honor. Strength combined with restraint. Perhaps we were wrong about what makes a species great. Perhaps it is not just the ability to conquer, but the wisdom to know when not to. At the Galactic Council, major changes were taking place. Earth had petitioned for a permanent security seat, a position of authority second only to the ancient Elder Council. Many species opposed this, fearing human dominance. But the reality was undeniable. Humans had the military power to take whatever they wanted. They were asking for recognition instead. Ambassador Park Min-seo addressed the council for the final vote. My father believed that species could rise through contribution, not conquest. That respect could be earned through cooperation, not fear. He spent his life proving that humans could be trusted partners in galactic civilization. She paused, looking at each representative in turn. His murder proved something else. That peace without strength is an illusion. That kindness without power is helpless. The Korthians thought our restraint meant we could not defend ourselves. We have corrected that misunderstanding. Earth could have destroyed the Korthian Empire completely. We chose justice instead. We could rule through fear. We choose to lead through example. Grant us the recognition we have earned, or reject us and wonder what we might do next. The choice is yours, but choose carefully. The vote was called. The result was overwhelming. Earth received its permanent security seat. The age of human dominance had begun. Not through slow diplomacy as Park Ji-woo had hoped, but through demonstrated power that left no room for doubt. Captain Kang Dae-hyun stood on a balcony overlooking a Korthian city under occupation. His war was over. His team had completed 47 operations behind enemy lines. They had not lost a single member. He should have felt pride. Instead, he felt tired. His second-in-command, Lieutenant Yu Soo-jin, joined him. They are building a memorial to Park Ji-woo in the capital. They want you to attend the dedication. I never met him, Kang said. I was just a soldier following orders. You fought for his memory. That counts. Kang watched Korthian civilians going about their lives below. They looked nervous but not terrified. Human soldiers patrolled. But they were not abusive. Do you think he would be proud of what we did? Or ashamed? You considered the question. Both, maybe. He wanted peace. We gave him war. But we did it his way. As much as war allows. We followed rules. We protected civilians. We sought justice, not revenge. That has to count for something. At Park Ji-woo's memorial dedication on Earth, millions gathered. The monument was simple. A statue of Park, with his arms outstretched, as if welcoming the galaxy to dialogue. Below it, an inscription read, "He believed in peace. He died for it. We honor him by ensuring his death has meaning." Kim Seo-yeon stood before the memorial, her arm still healing from the wound she took trying to protect Park. She saluted the statue, then spoke quietly. "We did it, sir. We showed them that human restraint was a gift, not a weakness. We proved that you were right to believe in us. But we also proved that there are limits to patience." Admiral Lee Sung-min attended the ceremony in full-dress uniform. Afterward, reporters asked her about the campaign. "Do you have any regrets about the war?" Only one," she said. "That it had to happen at all." Park Ji-woo spent 30 years showing the galaxy that humans could be peaceful, cooperative, and trustworthy. It took us 6 weeks to teach them what happens when they betray that trust. I wish they had learned the first lesson. In the Korthian territories, a strange thing was happening. The occupation was temporary, as promised. Human administrators were training Korthian civilians to govern themselves. War criminals were in prison. The military was being disbanded. But ordinary Korthians were learning to live under a new system. One based on law, not power. On justice, not domination. Empress Korthva, stripped of her title and awaiting trial, spoke to the human officer escorting her. You have taken everything from us. Our empire, our pride, our future. Commander Chen Wei, the same sergeant who had patrolled Talven, was now a commander overseeing the occupation. No, Majesty. We took your ability to hurt others. Your empire was built on conquest. Your pride was based on domination. That future was not worth having. And what future do we have now? One where you earn respect through achievement, not fear. Where you cooperate instead of conquer. Where you follow the same rules as everyone else. He paused. It is the future Park Ji-woo wanted for everyone, including you. You should have listened when he offered it peacefully. General Choi Min-jun gave his final report to President Okonkwo. The Korthian military is dismantled. Occupied territories are stable. War crimes tribunals are proceeding. We can begin withdrawing forces to garrison duty within 6 months. Casualties? The president asked. 143 human deaths, 4,000 wounded. Most from accidents, not combat. We achieved total victory with minimal losses. President Okonkwo was quiet for a moment. Park Ji-woo would be proud of our restraint, and heartbroken that it was necessary. Yes, Madam President. But we proved his point. We showed the galaxy that human strength comes with human values. We are not the Korthians. We are better. 10 years later, the galaxy had transformed. Humans sat on the Galactic Council as equals. The Korthian territories had reformed into independent systems under human protection. Piracy had decreased. Wars between species had dropped dramatically. Everyone had learned the same lesson. Humans were patient. Humans were diplomatic. Humans preferred peace. But humans were also the most dangerous military force in the galaxy. And they never forgot when someone betrayed their trust. Ambassador Park Min-soo, now the senior Earth representative to the Galactic Council, gave a speech on the anniversary of her father's death. My father believed in peace. He died for it. We avenged him through war, but we won something more valuable than victory. We won respect. Not through fear, but through demonstrated capability, combined with restraint. The galaxy learned that humans can be trusted as friends and feared as enemies. They learned that our kindness is not weakness. Our patience is not cowardice. And our restraint is not inability. These lessons were paid for in blood. Let us ensure they were not paid in vain. In a quiet cemetery on Earth, Kim Seo-yeon visited Park Ji-woo's grave. She laid flowers and stood in silence. Finally, she spoke. The galaxy is safer now, sir. Not perfect, but better. We did it your way, as much as we could. We were strong, but we were just. We were ruthless, but we were honorable. I think you would understand. I hope you would approve. The wind rustled the trees around the grave. Somewhere in the distance, a ship launched toward the stars. Humanity had earned its place in the galaxy, not through centuries of slow diplomacy, but through 6 weeks of devastating war followed by merciful peace. It was not the path Park Ji-woo had hoped for, but it was the one he had made possible. The galaxy would remember him as a martyr for peace, but they would remember humanity as something else, as the species that proved restraint and power could coexist, as the people who were kind until you gave them reason not to be, as the friends you wanted and the enemy you feared. The age of human dominance had begun, and it would be remembered as the era when the galaxy finally learned to prefer cooperation over conflict. Because the alternative was facing human fury unleashed.